Good evening and welcome to the program. If you're wondering why I'm so dressed up tonight, it's because the occasion certainly warrants it. I'm holding a 1971 Martin N-10. This is the little brother to the famous Willie Nelson guitar, the N-20. Such a beautiful playing instrument, and I'm very fortunate to have one tonight that I have borrowed that is in just pristine condition. And I will show that to you along with so many things and tests that we're going to run on this guitar tonight. Anyway, the N-10, if you're not familiar with it, is a spruce top, mahogany back and sides version of the N-20, which is the rosewood version of the guitar. This is a 1971. There are some specification changes along the line. The N-10 came out for 1969 along with the N-20, and they were both 25.5-inch scale instruments. In 1970, they switched over and they went to a long scale format, which is 26.44 inches. All other dimensions stayed the same. This guitar is 14.25 inches wide. It varies from 4 inches deep to about 3.5 inches deep near the neck. The guitar has a rosewood bridge, rosewood fretboard. It's 2 1/8 inches at the nut for width. So it's full classical with guitar. And it's a pretty good sounding guitar. This thing sounds very, very balanced. But really, the story of this guitar is not what you're seeing right now. The story of this guitar is what's on the inside of it. Now, let's have a little peek. Now we come to our most popular segment of the program, and that is the Al's X-ray. So on goes the X-ray machine. And there it is, the N-10 as a transparent being. So what do we have going on here? Well, we've got two cutoff bars on the top, one very wide. We've got another cutoff bar, but we suspiciously have braces running right by it, through it, over it, can't tell. And we have 7 fans in total that are not symmetrical. We have the fans, the outer 2 fans, kind of not running completely to what's a bottom, a tone bar or cutoff bar. We need to get inside this one and see what is going on in there. Okay, if you're not strapped down, you better get a seatbelt and bolt yourself to your chair because we're going inside. Now, for those of you who are familiar with classical guitars, how's that look? You've got 7 fans. They are not equally spaced from the top to bottom. You have essentially 2 mahogany braces on the lower side of the guitar. You have everything else made of spruce. These 2 outer braces, which are spaced slightly wider, if you look to the sound hole, you'll see that they do traverse directly through the top brace and end up around the sound hole. You also have, and you can call it what you want, I'll call it a tone bar, that goes across dissecting those 7 fans, except for the center one, which, though really, really thinned out, continues on. Clearly, Martin, or more specifically John Huber, who is a Martin R&D person who at the time was credited with the N-series guitars, an enormously scalloped spear going across, a tone bar that is going to be much stiffer on the same side of the guitar that the 2 mahogany braces are. Obviously, they're trying to set up a resonance, and I can't wait to see when we actually do vibration measurements on the top of this to see where its highest vibration points are, because this is like something you don't normally see. The braces that go through, the fans that go through those cutoff braces, it's kind of, I guess you could compare that to a highly modified Boucher or something along those lines. Also, you'll note you have cloth braces, many side braces, which are actually vinyl, as opposed to some kind of fiber cloth. And then I'm not going to bother taking the mirrors out for you, but you have extremely wide and low spruce back braces inside here. So really an interesting guitar, like nothing you'll ever see, and clearly responsible for some of the unique sound and tone of these guitars. Now let's get it on the scale and let's do some vibration measurements. Okay, and now it's time for the weigh-in. I don't know what you're predicting for this, but we have 3 pounds, 6.8 ounces, which does not make it a lightweight in the classical category. In another test you may not be familiar with, I've got a meter which will actually show me displacement in millimeters of the top, meaning I can measure how much the top actually vibrates with a given input. We always use an E chord for it, all strings strung and plucked, with a 3 millimeter action, so it's as hard as you can play it without hitting any kind of fret buzz. So all instruments should be somewhat the same as far as having a chance to shine and perform. And then it gets transferred to a drawing of it, and I'm going to discuss that with you right now. Okay, so you've seen our battery of tests. What does it all prove? What does it all show? Now, for sure, I'm guessing that some of you, when you saw the inside of the guitar, were really shocked. I was too. It is not exactly what I was expecting, and truly, it is a unique Martin design. I got to believe that it has a certain characteristic that you're not going to find in other classical guitars. Now, as for some of the other tests, we have the sound pressure test. At 1 meter, it came up with an 85 decibel rating. Now, 85 decibels, if you put it on our decipole up here behind me, slates in right about here. So it is above the Guild Mark II. Suspiciously, it is behind the Harmony by 2 decibels, and the Gibson C6 which was also at 87, but it blew away the Goya G10. So is it a loud guitar? It's not a super loud guitar, but I can tell you from being in the room with it, it certainly is a full range guitar. The highs are very clear, and the bass is very warm, and it seems to extend down. Now, you just saw the meter. Like, it would be even better if I held this straight up. Here is a comparison between the only other classical guitar that we've done a full test of, which was the Gibson C6. So, what can we tell from this or prove? As far as the displacement or millimeters of movement, down here below the bridge, the Gibson was 0.184 millimeters. This Martin was 0.254 in the same area. So much more vibration there. 0.149 to 0.154 here. And then 0.167 on the Martin. There's a 0.7. I got to believe that's an aberration with the C6. There was something, I think, wrong when we tested in that particular area. And I will recheck it and verify, because as the season goes on, I'm going to create a chart in the liner notes or in the description of the video that will allow you to look at what all the other guitars did throughout the season. Anyway, also at the top above the sound hole, you would expect very little vibration. The Martin has 0.068 millimeters of movement, but it does have 0.186 compared to 0.088 for the Gibson, so much more vibration. What you're seeing is this whole guitar, where those mahogany braces are and where that scalloped brace that goes across the bottom, as you saw in the interior pictures, everything is vibrating on this side of the guitar, which is interesting because you get quite a bit of energy from the big E string, and the Gibson tended to vibrate more on this side of the guitar. So there is definitely there's something to this brace pattern that Martin came up with. Does it equate to loud? No, but as the season goes and we see other classical guitars and see what type of vibration they come up with, maybe we'll have a better idea understanding loud versus tone versus vibration. It's obviously going to be a combination of how much of the top do you get to vibrate is going to result in the ultimate volume of the guitar, I would expect. I mean, there's going to be so many different variables. There's going to be the sound chamber effect of the interior. I mean, any little thing, even the sanding quality inside. As you know, some makers like to lacquer the interiors because they believe that that can increase the tone or the volume of it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed some of those tests. I gotta say, you know, in summation, it's really quite a nice guitar, but I think you should hear it again. Well, that was a little Neil Young, and this being in 1971, I think it fits pretty well with the general vibe of this guitar and its general age range. I hope you were able to get some of the tone, some of the quality of this. In a recording environment, it's never that great as compared to being in the room with it. But this is a very, very warm sounding guitar. There's a lot of criticism of the N series where people say, oh, well, no one who is a serious classical artist plays Martin classical guitars. They're not well known for it. Neither was Gibson. But this guitar really does hold its own in certain aspects. It makes a wonderful folk instrument. It doesn't have the type of attack that you normally hear in a fine classical guitar. However, it's not at all dead. I mean, in fact, it's very, very warm. It's got a rich, I mean, the big E is very rich. It doesn't die as you go up the neck with the E. It is it's a pretty impressive sounding guitar when you have it in front of you. It just radiates sound in all directions. You as the player hear it as well as the people around you. I have to say that this channel was not created to give opinions. It was more to do facts and kind of compare things on an equal basis. But my opinion, which no one asked for, is that this is a pretty nice sounding, a very fine sounding guitar to my ear. Certainly warm is the word for it. Warm, warm, warm. It's not muddy, but I would say bass heavy as far as that goes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, because I looked myself and I couldn't find information on the interior of the N-20 and the N-10. So I really wanted to do a piece on it where hopefully it would inform you, the viewer at home, something about these guitars. In the comments section, send me some electrons. Start typing. I don't know everything there is. I'm hoping that the comments section of this particular video might become a repository for people who know these instruments inside and out or have something to add to it. I really want that to be an active format for everybody to take place in. Anyway, I thank you for watching tonight. Boy, it would be nice. That subscription sure would be nice to have if you enjoy this type of content. Until next time, thank you for watching Al's Guitars.